Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Chat with Corey. I'm your host, Corey Scott. I have always had a very strong interest in sports and sports talk radio and podcasting. And so I've decided that I'm going to try my own hand at a little podcasting sports talk here on this YouTube channel. If you like what you hear or see, like and subscribe down there. My focus will be on Indiana high school athletics with a strong emphasis on boys and girls basketball. I also will be focusing some on auto racing, as I am a NASCAR fan, IndyCar fan, USAC fan, and more. College basketball, a small touch of college football, which we will get to later today in this episode, and Major League Baseball, and then just touching on many other sports hot topics as one who has been involved. I have developed some strong opinions, or authentic opinions, we shall say. I've been a coach, a parent, a fan, a player my whole life. As a teenager, I thought that I would pursue broadcast journalism or sports journalism without the broadcasting emphasis. But while I was sitting on the bench at Glen Oaks Community College on the basketball team, I realized maybe I had an interest in coaching. And after observing an elementary PE class while I was at Glen Oaks, I decided to pursue opportunities in coaching and teaching, starting my coaching career in 1997 as an assistant coach at Delville High School, where I once played for the Broncos, my beloved Broncos. And I have coached for 28 years. I am currently not coaching. I'm not sure if I am retired or just taking a break. Time will tell. In the meantime, we will share some of our thoughts and opinions on this podcast platform or YouTube platform. And we're learning. I'm learning. If you have topics you maybe would like for me to touch base on or address, you can drop those down there in the comments section. I'll look at those, and if they are something that I feel comfortable discussing or sharing my thoughts on, I will do so. If it's something that maybe I don't know quite as well as other topics, I may steer clear of those. Not trying to be controversial with my opinions or my comments, but I am going to give my opinions or my comments. And quite honestly, this is just a way for me to have some fun, something for me to focus on, as I don't have that coaching piece to occupy my time and my mindset. Maybe this will allow me to just dive into something and create a new interest or hobby. So that's a little bit about what's going on. We'll try to do it once a week. We'll see how I do. And like I said, check it out. Let me know what you think. And we'll go there. So one of the first topics that I have to discuss today, my notes are down here, so if you see me looking, that's what I'm looking at. The first topic that I have is Notre Dame football. Notre Dame football, the Irish, currently sitting at 7-2, as they lost their first two games, and they play at Pittsburgh, number 23 Pittsburgh, on Saturday. Yes, I am a Notre Dame fan. Yes, this is one of the things that I want to talk about because I am a fan. But the experts who are currently calling for Notre Dame to be forced to play in a conference because it's not fair that they have allowed themselves to work into the 12-team playoff because they're the highest ranked independent team, is bothering to me. There are 6 of the 12 teams that would be in the projected college football playoff at this time. 6 of those teams have a weaker schedule strength than Notre Dame. Notre Dame is one that does not play in a conference, as I said, but they have played all Power 5 schools, meaning that the top 5 conferences are where the schools are from. They have played 2 teams that are not in a Power 5 conference, and that would be Boise State, who is 6-3, and Navy, who is 7-2 as well. And that is a long-standing rivalry dating back to the early 1900s with Notre Dame and Navy. Some of the teams that people are comparing them to that I find interesting is Texas and Oklahoma. And some of the so-called experts say that Notre Dame needs to consider what am I trying to say here? They are consider joining a conference because it's not fair because their schedule strength is weaker. Well, if you look at Texas has played Sam Houston State, UTEP, and San Jose State. And nothing against those 3 schools, but those 3 teams are weaker than any team that Notre Dame has played this year or will play this year. Oklahoma has played Illinois State, Temple, and Kent State. Once again, those 3 teams are weaker than anybody that Notre Dame has played this year. So I don't understand why we think that Notre Dame needs to be forced into a conference to strengthen their schedule. Their schedule strength currently is, I think it's 30. And so, but there are, like I said, 6 teams that have a worse schedule strength than Notre Dame. And so I, for one, am not a strong believer in conferences. I don't understand why people feel like you have to be in a conference. It is a choice. There are opportunities that come from being in a conference. For one, allows your athletes, even at the high school level, maybe the college level, to earn awards such as all conference honors, player of the year in the conference, coach of the year in the conference. So there is that, but there's also some teams are at the bottom of the conference and they kind of take their beating through conference play throughout the years. And maybe sometimes the conference is just not a right fit for you. And so it can be financially, it can be ethnically, economically beneficial to you to be in a conference, but it doesn't always have to be. It doesn't always have to be the right or the wrong way. So that is something that I have not quite understood. Texas Tech is their coach Joey McGuire has come out and he's been quite opinionated about Notre Dame or some of the other teams maybe in the college playoff hunt. Well, his strength of schedule is not real strong, so it is weaker than that of Notre Dame's. So, sometimes people just are seeing what is right for them and what they need. And so it's interesting to me to find out that people will always hate on certain schools, Notre Dame being one of them, because they've had a lot of history, a lot of success over the years. And quite honestly, Marcus Freeman is one of the top coaches in the country in college football right now. So we'll move from that and we'll go right into my next topic, which is IU football. And IU football has taken a little bit of criticism themselves, kind of the same way as Notre Dame about the Big Ten not being real strong. Well, currently the top 2 teams in the country, Ohio State at number 1 and Indiana University at number 2, are in the Big Ten. And once again, the so-called haters are out there trying to diminish the successes of Ohio State and Indiana University this season. Indiana University has started 10-0 for back-to-back years. They are in the Big Ten. The Big Ten is one of the elite conferences in college football. Maybe it's not the SEC. That's maybe a different discussion for another day. Maybe it's not the ACC or the Big 12. Those are different discussions for another day. But the Big Ten has historically been a very strong football conference. And to have two teams in the 12-team playoff, and number one and number two says a lot about the conference. It says a lot about the people who research it and do all the analytics that go into choosing the top 12 teams for the projected college playoff. There's a chance that Ohio State and Indiana University will play in the Big Ten championship game. And so we'll find out how those two teams compare against each other. And then as they go in throughout the month of December and into January, we'll see how they compare to some of the other top programs in the country. So once again, I don't understand the criticisms that come from people who just they don't agree with the experts who do the research. They want to be the so-called expert and throw shade, as the kids say, towards those people who are having the success. And there's a couple guys I've seen on X, Twitter, what have you, whatever you want to call it, who claim to be experts, I guess, and have a strong opinion. But we'll just say, when you look at their profile picture, I'm not too sure they might have been too much of an athlete in their day. And so maybe they should just stick to what they know best. And maybe that's not being an athlete or knowing what to do with an athletic team. So that is that little comment. We'll see how it all plays out. And I am one who has strong opinions about seeing how things play out. The next thing on my list here that I have to talk about is Penn State, who IU just beat last week in college football. They were the preseason ranked number 2 team in the country. For whatever reason, they have not lived up to the expectation. They have not played well, but those players are still there. Yes, they have fired Coach James Franklin, and sometimes a change is good. I don't always agree with that, and we'll get to that here in a minute. But one of the so-called experts on Twitter was pretty harsh about the win IU had, having to win on their final possession of the game versus Penn State. Now let's remember this: all those players from Penn State that were there at the beginning of the year, that everybody thought was the number 2 team in the country, are still playing. Yeah, or the majority of them. We won't say all, maybe somebody's hurt, but the talent was there at the beginning of the year. That talent did not all leave by the time we got to November of the college football season. So I find that very interesting. The James Franklin firing that I referred to. I did a short on TikTok about a week or two ago about the firing of football coaches in the middle of the season, basketball coaches in the middle of the season, what have you, college and NBA basketball, college and NFL football, firing a coach in the middle of the season. I just don't understand. I just don't understand why you would fire a coach in the middle of the season. At the end of your last season, you thought that coach was your guy. He was your guy, or she was your guy, WNBA or other sports as well. So they were your person to be your coach. And some things don't go the way you want it to go, and you fire your coach, which is your right and your choice. But let's be honest, if you're going to fire a coach, the coach that you want to hire is probably somewhere right now being very successful as a coordinator in college football or as an assistant in college basketball. And they're probably going to ride out their season because they're probably having a pretty good ride right now, and they're going to finish their season. So the firing of coaches in the season as a former coach just kind of sticks with me a little bit. I don't quite understand the thought process. I don't quite understand the motivation of doing it during the season. And yes, let's be honest. Let's not feel bad for these coaches who are getting these massive buyouts to be fired because their agents and their contracts are written so that they could get paid to get fired. I'm sure a lot of people in this country would take a major buyout and be like, yeah, I won't have to work the rest of my life. You can pay that and you can fire me. So I do understand that. I do understand they're getting their money. I also understand at LSU, where they fired Brian Kelly, that there is some discrepancy on whether or not he should get his 52, 53 million buyout. But here's the thing. If that was in his contract, then pay the man his money. Yes, I know there were some things probably in his contract, if he did X, Y, and Z, that maybe he should not get his buyout. I get it. But for me, just pay the man his buyout. That was the contract you agreed to. The coach agreed to it. So pay the man his buyout. So that's just a couple sticking points I have with college football, with Notre Dame, with IU, with the firing of college football coaches. I'm just not sure that is what we need to be talking about. I mean, we have some great stories. The fact that IU is 10-0 for the first time in back-to-back years in the history of the program, that's pretty special. That's pretty special. As someone who has watched IU football his whole life, never have I seen anything like it. And so maybe people just need to get off their high horse. It's easy. It's easy to get on Twitter, any social media, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's easier to get on there and just rip people. It's easy to get on message boards and say, fire the coach. You know, coming from people who had never coached, never been in that situation. I've never coached at the college level. I've never coached football. So what gives me the right, because I watch football on TV, I watch college basketball on TV, I know that coach should be fired. As a coach, I struggle with that. So don't ever bring me that nonsense of let's fire the coach. Are there some coaches who I feel maybe should have not lived up to the expectation? Yes. And at the end of their season, go ahead and fire them. But we don't need to be firing them in the middle of the year, hoping to get some young up-and-coming coach who is coaching his team till his season is over. So that is a sticking point with me. That is something that I don't quite understand, but it is what it is. Go coaches, win games, don't get fired in the middle of your season. So that is, I just made myself laugh. I'm sorry. If you're not laughing, I'm not a very funny person to you. Good. I'm not supposed to be a very funny person to you. That all matters that laughs is me. That's all that I need to laugh. All right, IU basketball. My number one right now is IU basketball. I love IU basketball. I have been a fan of Indiana University basketball my entire life. I can remember watching these games with my whole family, my mom, my dad, my sister, grandparents, cousins. We have been IU basketball fans for a long time. IU has struggled since the firing of Coach Knight back in the early 2000s. We've had several coaches, and we have never regained the enthusiasm and the excitement that we had when I was a young child. Now, with that being said, through a couple preseason games, they play tonight, which is Wednesday, November 12th. They play tonight versus Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Through these first few games and a couple exhibition games that I've seen on film, I believe that they are a much improved program. I believe that they share the ball well. They shoot the ball well, and they play with an enthusiasm that is contagious. From what I understand, practice is very high energy level. Practice is very intense, and that carries over to the game. Do they have some holes right now? Yeah, I see some holes. They don't have much physical size. They've not quite had the height of some of their opponents. They're not super physical inside. And in the game the other night versus Marquette, I do believe that rebounding needs to improve, especially on the defensive end. But the one thing that you can say is those guys play hard. They play for each other. They play with each other, and the excitement of how they play and the way they play, I enjoy watching them. I have not enjoyed watching them the last few years because the ball did not move. And the pace of play and the rhythm of play was not real enjoyable to watch. I believe the teams that we've coached, the teams that I've helped coach with different people, I believe that it's real simple. Share the ball and play hard and have fun, and good things will happen. Just a lot of teams anymore in basketball, they dribble that ball way too much. Way too much. There's air in it. We'll check the air before the game starts with the referees to make sure that it bounces. So the overuse of the dribble drives me crazy. High school, middle school, college, NBA, but passing and the ball moving and the ball not sticking is what makes it fun and enjoyable to watch. And I look forward to watching the Indiana Hoosiers for the remainder of the year. I look forward to the successes that they have. And, you know, as big or as small as they may seem, I just want Indiana University basketball to be fun to watch and fun to root for. Yes, there will be things that frustrate me. There are already a couple players that drive me crazy, but I'm not the coach and I'm not at practice every day. So I look forward to that. I look forward to that as we go on through these podcasts. Indiana University will get more and more discussion and more time to be at the top of that list of things that we talk about from week to week and from time to time. So a couple other things that have been in the news the last couple days. Last night, Grace College, Winona Lake, Indiana, women's college basketball, NAIA level. They had a 172-91 win over Ohio Christian. And I believe that that's a record, a scoring record. They play the Grinnell style, which means they play 12, 13 or so players. They sub in every 2 minutes. There's 5 new players coming in. They have a team instituted shot clock. I'm not sure how many seconds it is that they prefer to get X amount of shots in the first so many seconds of the shot clock, and they press the whole time. In my opinion, yeah, maybe that's fun for some. Maybe that's a lot of points. Maybe the girls, the women, I'm sorry, are enjoying that style of play. But there's no way that you can sell me on beating a team by 80 points and pressing until late in the game, because that makes no sense to me. And you can say that the Grinnell style of basketball, the system that they are playing, you can say that that's our system and we need to work on it. But those women play in college. They have played enough basketball that they will not get out of your system and lose sight of your system if you change things up when you're drilling a team and you're up by a lot of points and you're still pressing and you're still chucking threes and you're still shooting early in the shot clock. If you've ever been on the other side, of one of those lopsided games, and you're the losing team, and you're getting drilled, and the team is still pressing you, and you can't get the ball up the floor, or they're still chucking threes and hitting them, that's not a real enjoyable experience. It's not enjoyable for the other coaching staff, and it's not enjoyable for the other women on the other team, and I'm not buying beating a team by 80 points. Okay, cool. They set scoring record. Cool. They scored 172 points. Good for them. I'm just not buying beating a team by 80 points. Now, if they'd have won 172 to 162, hey, that's cool. You had to press, you had to score, you had to shoot it. But 172 to 91, nearly 80-point victory, I'm not down with that. And so maybe it's cool for those who are involved on the winning side, but I'm pretty sure those women on Ohio Christian's team are like, what in the world is going on here? Now, they did score 91 points, but the team you're playing is still pressing you and chucking the threes and hitting them, and that is not real enjoyable for a whole lot of people. With that being said, as we start to wind up this first episode, one of my many passions is Indiana high school basketball. And this past Monday, November 10th, was the first day that Indiana high school boys high school teams could practice. And They will begin their play of games the first week, or it's not the first week, but the week of Thanksgiving. That Monday is the first day that you can play a game for the high school boys. And we're probably entering week 2, week 3 of the girls' season, playing games. Some highlights for me so far is my Delville Lady Broncos are off to a 3-1 start, and they'll be back in action Friday night, November 14th versus Centerville. Go out there, catch Coach Joe Wrench and his girls, and Addie Gothrop and the Lady Broncos, and see how they do, and root them on to hopefully a successful season. I've known Coach Wrench for a long time. His son was an outstanding point guard for me in 2008 on the boys' side for the Delville Broncos. And then the Wapahani Lady Raiders open their season, their 25-26 campaign on on Saturday night, November 15th at Union Modoc. For whatever reason, the Lady Raiders open their play just a week or so behind other local teams, and maybe that's due to some of the success they've had in volleyball over the years, and they just didn't want to have that overlap. I know for me that I would like that extra time of practice and preparation for your first game. When I played, 30 years ago, we started practice October 15th, and we played the Friday before Thanksgiving was the first night we could start. Now most teams are getting 12, 14 days of practice. Now you do get to work with your team all summer long, but if you are like me and you coach at a school, my second coaching stint as a head coach, we had a lot of students in and out of our school. So if that is you and that's your situation, 2 weeks of practice just wasn't enough before your first game. And then, there are some high school boys and girls teams locally kicking off their Fan Jam seasons. Muncie Central Bearcat Fan Jam will be Saturday, November 15th. And I know there's some other local schools doing things this Saturday to promote their school and their program, but as my grandpa was a Bearcat in the 1940s, Muncie Central is one that I always pay attention to. And like I said, I'm sure there's some other inter-squad scrimmages and things going to take place this weekend after the first week of boys practice. As for me this year, you can catch me at many high school games. I know that I will probably begin my boys season on Tuesday, November 25th, as I will be at Jay County High School, as they will host the visiting Fort Wayne South Side. My nephew will be playing for the Patriots this year. We'll try to catch as many of those games as possible. And then Wednesday night, November 26th, my beloved Delville Broncos will be hosting the Shenandoah Raiders. And that is usually a great crowd. And so sometimes over the years, it has been a really good game. And so hopefully a little rivalry game there, neighboring school districts. I hope to attend that on Wednesday, November 26th. And then locally, another one of the very strong teams here locally is Liberty Christian Lions. I have strong connections to that program, and with former coach, now AD, Mr. Jason Chappell is a friend of mine. So we talk a lot of basketball, and then his current coach, Norman Anderson, in their program. They just have a tremendous team coming back from last year. They will open at county rival LaPel on November 26th. And then they will turn around on Saturday, November 29th, and go over across town and face off against the Anderson Indians. That game was very exciting last year. They played it at the former high school Anderson Highland, but it is Anderson Highlands now middle school. That game was very entertaining. My son Ben and I attended that last year, and we enjoyed watching that game. And that will do episode 1 of Chat with Corey. I have a lot to learn, I know. maybe my voice is not all that soothing to you, and maybe I'm pretty boring to you, and that is fine. But if you have topics, put those down below in the comments. If you like what you saw, or you just want to watch when you can, hit like and subscribe down there below us too. We'll see where this goes. It's fun. I was a little nervous today, I'll be honest. I like I said, I don't totally know what I'm doing yet, but it doesn't hurt anything to have a YouTube channel, throw things up on it, and just see where this goes, and how entertaining it could be for myself. If it's entertaining for you, that's your choice, but it is definitely entertaining for myself. And I will leave you with this, something that I will leave you with every time. Find something that you enjoy to do and do it. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not enjoyable. Don't let anybody tell you what to enjoy and what your passion is. We are our own people. Find those things you enjoy to do. Get out there and do it. And hopefully we'll be back with episode number 2 soon, hopefully next week. And thank you for watching episode 1 of Chat with Corey, with former basketball and baseball coach Corey Scott. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you later.